situation in Indian River County. We had 3 officers that have been shot, a suspect. There's just a lot going on, but just know Florida Department of Law Enforcement is engaged, working with the sheriff and the local community, and we'll hope for the best results out of that. It's always great to be back in Crystal River. We came last year and did the $2.8 million, which I know was something that was really significant, and we wanted to be able to help the community. And I usually don't come empty-handed, so you can probably assume, I'm going to be cutting some more checks today, and you would be right, and so we're happy to do it. So we've got a number of folks with us here. We have our Commerce Secretary, Alex Kelly. We have Representative Groh from the Florida House, Citrus County Commissioners, Levy County Commissioners, Citrus County Sheriff David Vincent, Newberry Mayor Tim Martin, Crystal River Mayor Joe Meek, Richard Wiggins, of course, the co-owner of Bayside Craft Kitchen, where we're at here in Crystal River. And I mean, how nice is this? This is like Chamber of Commerce stuff, right? I mean, this is and then we have Charles Garza, President and CEO of Harvest Singularity in Newberry. We were here, we were just reminiscing about 2023. We had Idalia that hit, I think it was Taylor County was where it the eye made landfall. But then here we are, maybe like 100 miles further south, or certainly a decent chunk, and you saw, real significant water in Crystal River. So we toured, we saw all that, and then I know Helene was a big deal as well. Of course, that had, big impacts really up and down the entire west coast of Florida, and a storm that didn't even hit Florida until it got to the very northern part of Florida, and yet still 100 miles off the coast was doing that. So, and then I know we worked to help with the debris after Helene and before Milton, because you have Helene, there's debris, people are worried that Milton starts coming, and so we were happy to really streamline that. I mean, it even got to the point where we said it's got to be 24/7 on the landfills to be able to dump the debris, and one of the counties locked their landfill. So we had Florida Highway Patrol. I mean, they snipped the locks and opened it back up, and we just kept things rolling, because that's just how we do things, and we want to get the job done. So we're now here. We're the week before Thanksgiving, and we did not have a hurricane impact, not only in Florida, but in the entire continental United States. And these things do, historically, if you look, I mean, they do kind of come in bunches. We had 10 years where we had no storm, no hurricane hit Florida, I think until 2016, 2017 period. And then since then, we've had 6 major hurricanes in 7 years. And that's difficult to deal with. Now, we deal with it better than anybody. If you had that happen almost any other place in the country, it would just be done, right? I mean, they wouldn't do. So we've got a lot of resilience. We've got a lot of folks that do a good job, but we're really glad to have not had to deal with it. I mean, we're technically still in the season. You could get something, and so I mean, it's not impossible, but I think most people feel like this has been a positive season for all of us, and we needed it, and we're going to keep going forward. Now, which brings us here today is. We really believe in communities all throughout Florida. We're not just focused on the places that everybody, you go to different parts of America, particularly you go to like the Northeast, like they think all of Florida is basically just Palm Beach to Miami, right? Like that's what they think of Florida. They don't think of Citrus County. They don't think of Levy County. They don't think of any of that. But we know, obviously, we've got a lot going, and we want to be helpful. And we were just at the Rural Economic Conference yesterday in Ocala. The thing about it is, I could bring like $50 million to Miami or Tampa or something. It's almost like, okay, not that people don't appreciate, but you bring support for some of the rural, I mean, they really appreciate it, and the money goes a lot farther to do some of the things that they're doing. So we've been a big advocate of really doing this, and I know you've had great legislators in the area. You had a great senator here, Blaise Ingoglia. And when the CFO position became vacant, the governor has to appoint a replacement. He was a clear choice to do that, just given his track record. Awesome. And I knew he would do good, but I will tell you, he's exceeded expectations. He's out there. There's nobody that's stronger in defending taxpayers in Florida than Blaze has been, and he's holding account. Yes, some of these liberal mayors for overspending, but there are also red counties that are overspending, like Manatee, and he's held them accountable. So I think he's done a really, really good job. And I know, he's from just south of here in Hernando, but you guys should be proud of the job he's doing. And I know, is Ralph here? So you got. So you got a good one incoming, and these special, it takes a long time. It's like Blaze we did like months ago, but by the time you do the primary and all that, but I was really pleased to support Ralph on day one. He's done a fantastic job in the legislature, and we'll pick up right where Blaze left off in the Florida Senate. So congratulations. I know the election's coming up, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be opposite Ralph with the D next to my name. I know that on the ballot, so I think he's going to do pretty good. We are, we're proud of having led on so many different things in terms of economic opportunity, but we're in a period of economic uncertainty for this country. I think if you look around, so much of this it's been driving the stock market and all this is basically these big tech companies, the Magnificent Seven, and it's all about artificial intelligence, which, by the way, it's a whole nother conversation. We're going to be rolling out some good policies on AI. There's some people saying, well, the federal government should just take over and not let the states do anything. I reject that. I think, we have a responsibility to stand up for you. So, for example, I think it's wrong if they come in to build a data center and then charge the normal customers higher for electricity. We're not going to let that happen. That's not right. I think it's wrong if they are using your likeness and putting out, false information under you, because sometimes it's hard to even tell, it is. I think it's wrong if things are targeting children, particularly for sexual exploitation. And we've seen technology being done this. This is kind of take it to a whole new level. So we're going to defend, our right to be able to basically protect your freedom. And the way I view it is, yes, my job is to protect your freedom from government. And the state of Florida, we have millions of more people than New York State. Our budget's less than half of their budget. We have the lowest number of state government workers per capita in the entire country. So we've got a very lean government, and I think we've done it well. And we fought Biden a lot when Biden was in there. We sometimes have to fight some of the local governments during COVID. They wanted to put people in jail for not wearing masks. I said that ain't gonna fly in Florida, and so we went down to Broward County and we basically stopped the madness. They wanted to do the masking of these poor kids in school, and I was like, not going to happen. So we did an executive order. So that is obviously it, but. Your freedom can also be undermined by these massive companies that have hugely concentrated power and have massive impact over our society, over speech. We were doing COVID. I'd bring in these great guys, Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford. He's now the director of NIH. At the time, he was one of a few lonely voices speaking out against Fauciism and saying, no, you don't do this stuff. We would do roundtables, and I'd have people from Oxford, like really good people, but they were counter the narrative. And so what did Google and they would take our videos down. Our stuff would get censored. Well, I'm sorry, like that impacts your freedom to communicate. And they'll say, oh, well, it's a private company. Yeah, but how much speech goes on, and just a handful of these companies control so much of it. So I think your freedom can be impacted by a handful of massive companies. And so we just want to make sure that we're protecting people's freedom to be able to make the most of their God-given ability, have a good life here, prosper, get ahead. Government can be an impediment to that, but so can some of these really. And oh, by the way, a lot of those companies have been working very closely with government over the years. I mean, they weren't censoring just willy-nilly. They were doing that at the behest of people like Fauci. So we're very mindful of all that. So we're gonna make sure that we have a really robust, I think, package that's going to just put Floridians first and put our people first, and that spans across a lot of things. But there's a lot of uncertainty because they're projecting, profits on the back of this. So they're spending all this money. I mean, unbelievable amounts of money, to create. They're building a data center in Louisiana that's the size of Manhattan. They're doing it in these other places. And it's like, okay, you need this infrastructure, you got to have all this for computing. But the problem is, something like OpenAI, they're not making a lot of money. I mean, they're not making any net profit, but their revenues. And so it's like, where are you going to go? And like, if that doesn't pan out, then you're going to start to see all kinds of shock waves go through the entire economy. And I think what we've done in Florida, we've been ranked #1 economy 3 years in a row by both CNBC and U.S. News World Report, but we have a lot more durability than we used to have. We have way more manufacturing. We've added tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs just since I've been governor. We've got a huge space industry that is booming. Unlike, I remember 15 years ago it was dead, right? Obama retired the shuttle, totally dead. We have that. We do have a lot of finance that have moved out of New York City. I mean, wouldn't you, if with the way it's been governed? I mean, like, and now they're gonna have a new mayor, and people are gonna be longing for people like De Blasio because this guy's gonna be more left than him, and it's not gonna be good for public safety and all these other things. So we're doing that, and we want to make sure we continue to do that. But there's certain things that that are not susceptible to necessarily what the market's doing, what the Fed is doing, what Congress is doing, because Congress isn't going to do the right thing. So you have all this. The things that we can do to be helpful are really on supporting infrastructure, making sure that communities are able to bounce back if we do end up having storms in the future. Making sure that we're paving the way to have more economic opportunity. And one of the tools that we have for that is something called the Job Growth Grant Fund. It's a fund that the governor is able to do projects. So the locals submit their projects, and sometimes they'll say, hey, we're going to do 10 million, can you do 5 or whatever, and however they want to do it. And then our Commerce Department evaluates it, and then we kind of make decisions, what can get the most bang for the buck. And so, there's a lot of things that are done that are good. We've done a lot on job training. We've done expanding commercial truck drivers, which I think is really important, and they need to know English when they're driving these trucks. I mean, how stupid can you be to put somebody, now we don't do it, but California, putting people behind the wheel who can't read the street signs, can't read what's on the interstate. It's just insane. So we've worked on that. We've worked on concrete skills in high schools and in state colleges so that you do. And that's a whole nother thing with this artificial intelligence. People are almost bragging about it. They think it's like a good thing that it's going to take all these jobs away from people. I don't think it's a good thing if people do. But the question is and whether that's true or not, the people that have the concrete vocational skills, like that's going to be necessary. You're going to continue to need that. HVAC, you're going to continue to need welding, you're going to continue to need all that stuff for the foreseeable future. So we've worked hard to do it. And, so they'll do it, and we'll look to see, okay, what does this do? What does this do? I was telling the story yesterday in Ocala. They came to me a couple years ago, probably about 2 years ago, for an interchange off I-75. And, I-75 in Ocala can be a problem. We're actually doing a lane expansion there, and that's all underway. We accelerated that by a decade. So hopefully, that'll offer relief. But they're like, hey, we want to build this. And I'm like, all right. So I'm looking at the thing, and they're like, yeah, we think we can, if you do an interchange here, if you do an exit, we can, create a pathway to an industrial park. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, and we think we also, may be able, to go and you can do something else or whatever. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it's good. And, but I hear a lot of this stuff. And then finally they're like, oh yeah, and if you do that, they're going to put a Buc-ee's in right there. And I was like, all right, well, I'm sold. I'm doing it at Buc-ee's. Like, no question. So they actually are doing Buc-ee's off I-75 in Ocala, and so you guys, when you're doing, if you go north on 75, I don't know exactly. Do you know when it's going to 2026? 7 or 6? 2026. You'll be able to do it. Have you guys been to Buc-ee's? Okay. If you haven't, like, look, nobody knows more about service stations than me, okay? Because I travel the state. I've been to almost every Wawa. I've been to Busy Bee. I've been to, all these places. And so I know. So we have 2 Buc-ee's, and it's from Texas. One is in St. Augustine off 95, World Golf Village exit. The other is off in Daytona off the LPGA Boulevard exit. And so we went to the opening of the LPGA Daytona one, and we're cutting the ribbon, all this other stuff. But you go in there, and I've been in. I mean, for a service station, it's Shangri-La, right? I mean, like 90 gas pumps. You go in, it's like a department store. I mean, you can get like clothes and all this other stuff, whatever. Then they have like unbelievable drinks, like any kind of drink you want, and they have a barbecue made to order, just doing brisket and doing all this. They're doing, a lot of times they'll have delis where they're doing stuff like Wawa does. They have a fudge station where they're churning out fudge. Then they make their own jerky, and then they have these things called beaver nuts. So it's like all these other things. So I will tell you, I mean, you go in there, I mean, it is just, I mean, it's swamped. It's like a kind of an experience. So you guys are going to get one pretty close to here, and I think that you'll like it. I don't know, just anecdotally, I go to a lot of different places. I mean, like the Buc-ee's customers. If that was what, like, kind of the whole voter pool things, I think like I'd get 90% of the. I mean, like, unbelievable just how it is. So it's good. So we do different things like that, and then we also have other ways to be able to make an impact for local communities, and we've done that over the years. So we have the Job Growth Grant Fund. We also have the CBDG Disaster Recovery Program. That we work with the federal government on, and to be able to do it. So today, we're able to take both of those pots and do things to really make a difference. And so I'm proud to continue the investments in our Florida communities. Today, we are going to award $23.5 million to 3 of our communities, Citrus County, Levy County, and the city of Newberry, to strengthen their critical infrastructure. These investments will support continued growth in the economy, long-term resilience, and improve quality of life. So in Citrus County, we're awarding $16.4 million through this. You didn't even know what it's for yet. I guess you figure it's going to be good, right? So $16.4 million to replace a sanitary sewer system following the intrusions that we saw in the 2023 and 2024 storms. This has been an outdated system. It's limited the county's ability to grow by upgrading it. We're going to protect homes, businesses from future storm impacts, but also obviously serving for the overall economic base as well. And so this program opened on July 1st, 2025. Florida Commerce received more than $1.9 billion in requests for the $400 million available. So there are many needs that people want, and we're glad that Citrus County is able to have snagged a good chunk of that. City of Newberry. Who's from Newberry here? What do we have? Yeah. Have any of you been to Newberry? Okay. So, it's like Alachua County politically is tough, right? But Newberry is like, I mean, it's like you wouldn't know it's there. It's a little bit different ball of wax. So, City of Newberry, we're proud to award $5.6 million through the Job Growth Grant Fund to support roadway and water infrastructure improvements at the Newberry F300 Ag Food Tech Innovation Park. So, congratulations on that. And you'll hear from one of the speakers about why that is important. And then finally, Levy County, $1.5 million through our Job Growth Grant Fund for critical water infrastructure in Chiefland and its surrounding rural communities, including Horseshoe Beach and Cedar Key. And there's a lot of people, maybe in different parts of Florida, that had never heard of Horseshoe Beach or Cedar Key until the storms, and then people would see, you know, the storms. I mean, we had a Dahlia in 23, then we had Debbie, which was not a major hurricane, but was a hurricane in August of 24. Then we had Helene, and then Milton didn't impact that far north as much. But those, you know, 3 storms in about a 13-month period, you know, that was a really, really big deal, and it impacted those areas in a really big way. And I'll tell you, so we were at Gainesville, actually, University of Florida. We created something called the Hamilton School for Classical Learning and Citizenship. And, you know, it's basically like doing what the Academy should have been doing this whole time, which is focus on the things that really matter, great books, Western civilization, foundations of America. And, you know, we've brought in people because we had to change the way, you know, people would always tell me, why are these universities indoctrinating? Why can't we do it? And part of the reason is because, okay, you want to bring in somebody different? They go in front of the faculty that are already there. Well, guess what? If you don't toe the line, you think you're getting tenure from those people? No. So they enforce intellectual conformity through having the faculty able to veto, you know, new professors coming in. So we work with the legislature. We changed the law in Florida. And we said 2 things. 1, all tenured professors must undergo review every 5 years and can be terminated for poor performance. 2, the presidents of the universities and the boards of trustees, you know, they can directly recruit professors to the university without being subjected to the faculty veto. So we've been able to bring in. We brought the top Civil War scholar from Princeton, is now at Hamilton School. A great scholar from Harvard. He had been at Harvard for 40 years and he couldn't take it anymore, and so he's coming to UF. And then we had a lot of these young people, like some of these professors are coming up to me and they look like they're in their 20s, like very young. I think they're probably older than that, from Oxford and from Cambridge and Vanderbilt and all these places, you know, coming down there. But anyways, I was telling them, and I was like, you know, have you guys gotten to explore Florida or whatever? And, you know, some of them are like, well, you know, we went to Miami. I'm not saying don't do that, but I was like, you know, if you go from Alachua, if you just go like to the West Coast, like this area, look at the Springs, you know, you look at places like Levy County, you look at places like that. I mean, it's old Florida, right? It's really, really pretty. And I mean, I remember going when we were doing some of the hurricane response last year, you know, we're doing stuff, we're helping out checks. So we stop at one of the places for lunch. I think we were probably in either Steinhatchee or Horseshoe Beach. Maybe we were Steinhatchee. And I go to this place, this family-owned restaurant, we're eating lunch. And, you know, the fella comes up to me, he's like, do you like stone crabs? And I'm like, is hell hot? I mean, of course I like stone. I mean, like, and so he brings these massive stuff. I mean, like way bigger than I've ever seen in the Keys, or even like Joseph. I mean, like just massive. And it's like, you know, this fresh stuff. It's all. So I tell him, I was like, you know, you guys have got some really great stuff, you know, right at your fingertips, which is, you know, a different pace. And I'm not saying like, look, you know, you have like, you know, hotels and condos like on South Beach, whatever. I mean, like there's a place for that, but that's not what you want for the entire state, right? So you go and you're able to do this, and they're like, oh man, I want to go check it out. You know, I remember coming, you know, we used to do the Springs, and we could go, you know, swim in some of these areas. I remember as a kid, Ted Williams had his museum here, the Hitters Hall of Fame. And, you know, he used to fish here and stuff. So as a kid, I came up and I went and you know, we were in Dunedin, so it was like an hour and a half drive. You go and you got to see it was probably longer than that because I don't think they had the expressway at the time. That expressway makes it a lot easier to get to Tampa and up. So you do that and you've seen that, and I'm looking around, I'm like, man, this is really, really nice. So we really believe that there's a lot of great stuff, and the hurricanes obviously are tough. But I think people have bounced back as good as they can. So here in Levy County, this is going to be really important to make sure that they get this situated because they've got a lot of great stuff there. It's really, really cool part of Florida. So all right, we're going to do the checks. We'll take some photos. Then I'm going to invite the other speakers up. So who do we have first? Citrus. All right.
three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Got it? All right, congratulations. Thanks so much. Yeah. Yeah.
City of Newberry.
Newberry. All right. The Gators going to beat the Knowles next weekend? Yes or no?
Right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
So we have more Seminole fans than Gator fans here today. Is that no? Yeah. You know, I've said this a lot. Like my kids growing up in Tallahassee, that's what they know. Like they are like super diehard for FSU, right? And it's like whatever, that's what they know. But it's at to the point where like, you know, someone gave me I got some type of baseball that had a Gator emblem on it, and so I gave it to my son. And he saw the Gator, he just threw it down. He's like very crazy with all this stuff. And I'm like, man, you're very rabid on this. And I didn't teach him this. You know, in fact, we're watching, this was a couple weekends ago, we had Navy and Notre Dame we're playing. And I go to, and look, he's in second grade. I'm like, hey buddy, where would you rather go to college, Navy or Notre Dame? And his answer was, Florida State. All right, Levy. Okay. Okay, Alex Kelly, come on up.
Well, Governor, thank you so much. Again, Alex Kelly, Secretary of Commerce. Governor, thank you. You know, the projects that you're announcing today, they really are part of a focus that you constantly direct us to take a look at projects that have first, I think, a layer of infrastructure readiness, creating that resilient, permanent infrastructure for communities. But it never stops there. It's a focus. All three of these projects then really feed into readiness for the workforce, and ultimately helping all three communities that we're celebrating today, I think, really have the kind of assets and resources that make job creation possible and sustainable and supportable. I really want to thank, from our department, we've gotten to work with a number of individuals in the room, but also outside this room. Here in Citrus County, we worked a lot with a number of people, a number of the commissioners. I don't know if Commissioner Bays is here, but we've worked with her quite a bit. Steve Howard, Steve Bayham, and I will say too, Mayor Meek, you have to be a good luck charm for Citrus County, because I think, Governor, every time you're here, I think every time that Mayor Meek is in the room with you, either you or the First Lady give a check out to somebody in Citrus County. So. Just keep showing up. In Levy County, Chair Mills, and I want to thank, he's not here, but Jeff Hendry from the North Florida Economic Development Partnership really represents the interests of Levy County at all times as well too. Mayor Martin from Newberry, Scott Engel from UF IFAS is here as well. Has been a tremendous partner on this project. Charles Garza, it's been great to hear from you and learn about Harvest Singularity and your investment, not just in Newberry, but your investment as you're planning for really throughout the state. I want to give a big thanks to Representative J.J. Grow. We spent a lot of time. Yeah. I think the time that we spent here is emblematic, I think, of the kind of partnership that's true about all three communities that we're celebrating today, which is about, we all got together, we worked, we looked at issues. You, sir, we brought them to you. You were supportive. You gave that direction. But it really does start and end with that great partnership that occurs. So thank you so much for being a great friend, a great supporter. I will say too, in terms of the Newberry project, he's not here, but State Senator Stan McClain has been a tremendous partner. State Rep Chad Johnson has been a tremendous partner as well. I just want to say, just maybe to add to your points, Governor, all three of these projects, it's about infrastructure with intentionality. All three of these projects are not just singularly about resilience. They, of course, they start with resilience, but they really are about infrastructure with intentionality, and they really are about a continuing conversation that Governor, you lead, and we have with all three communities, which is to continue to make all three communities that we're celebrating today great places to raise a family, start a business, get an education, grow talent, and really just call it a great place to live, play, and work. So thank you all so very much, and Governor, thank you so much.
Okay. All right, come on up.
Hello, Richard Wiggins, co-owner Bayside Craft Kitchen, Waterfront Social, Tiki, Paddle Tails, all on the water, and Catch 22. One thing I wanted to kind of talk about is they want to kind of tell our story. I think what I want to tell as an owner, what people don't see as an owner with a lot of employees, what happens before the storm comes. There's a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of concern from the employees, and that's kind of the side I want to talk about. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about, we obviously pre-plan, try to do anything we can to recover. And then the storm hits and whatever happens, and everyone sees the debris, the destruction. That's the easy part. That's what everyone sees. That's typically pretty fast for us to clean up and fix. The hard part is telling the employee that, hey, we're not sure when we're going to have work again. They come and they work really hard to help us clean up and do all that. And then there's obviously some infrastructure stuff that we have to do, and then we're not sure when they're going to work again. And that's obviously concerning. And then what we learned from 2 storms in a row is that if you push really, really hard, and this is probably more the tourism industry than the hotels, the restaurants, and things like that, is when you push really hard to get open. Unfortunately, everyone in the community is dealing with their home, dealing with other things, and then also other people in Florida don't say, hey, let's go to Citrus County where they just got 9 feet of water. I don't know how many feet of water it was. So even though the businesses get open, we still struggle financially, and our employees still struggle. So I think that's one of the things I would like for people to think about, is because yes, it's expensive, it costs money, there's insurance, it's a pain for the owners, but there's a personal side, because you have an obligation, at least I feel like you have an obligation to your staff, right? Just like I feel like if it's going to happen, let it be in a smaller community, because what you saw last year with the second hurricane coming, and it was spoke about a little bit, was how the community pulled together and helped and got the debris up and worked really hard to make sure we didn't have more damage. So I think that's great, and I think that's one thing that I just want everyone to understand as an owner. Everyone thinks it's money, money, business, business, business. But there's a lot of people that depend on you, and it's not just them. It's someone's wife, it's someone's husband, it's someone's kid, and it trickles down. And what you see as recovery, that recovery financially for a lot of people, even the businesses, it doesn't get fixed in 2 months. It's multiple years to recover. And I think about the families that don't have the resources, in the savings to recover like that. So that's probably what I would say is a story to think about when you think about this disaster. This is about people. The buildings can be replaced. Anything material can be replaced, but people can't. And that stress they get before, and that stress during, and the stress of not knowing, as everyone knows, being in the if in the mindset is really, really tough. And just picture yourself, being a young family, not knowing if you're going to have income. So that's kind of the story I want to tell. And I appreciate it. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity.
You ready?
Well, good morning. My name is Charles Garza. I'm the CEO and founding partner of Harvest Singularity. We develop and operate industrial 100% controlled environment hydroponic greenhouses, and we are building our first 2 facilities at the F300 Ag Food Tech Park in Newberry, which was referenced earlier this morning. Our plan is to build and operate 10 industrial 100% controlled environment hydroponic greenhouses throughout the state of Florida, with the aim of making Florida the U.S. leader in controlled environment agriculture. Each facility in Newberry will be 325,000 square feet in size. The investment in each facility is $66 million. The average number of employees per facility between 50 and 60, and the average salary per facility $91,000. Each of our technology-driven greenhouses will utilize precision agriculture, AI, robotics, to produce nearly 4 tons of non-genetically modified and organic leafy greens every day. That's one farm, all without the use of pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. Our production output requires 94% less land and 95% less water than in conventional ag. In fact, our facility will require 40,000 gallons a day to operate, but all of that water will be captured from the rain, requiring no water from the municipality, even though we connect just in case. Our cultivar focus in the first 10 farms will be leafy greens, tomatoes, and strawberries, and our total investment in Florida as a whole over the next 5 to 7 years is $660 million. Very important, we talked about before, educational programs for the young ones and people looking for new tech jobs. Each facility that we build will be located near to a UF IFAS extension office and a local state college so that we can create CEA educational and research opportunities for University of Florida ag students and to help state colleges develop training programs aimed at creating a new generation of high-paying ag tech jobs in our local communities. Now, regarding Newberry, we searched all over Florida for a very long time, and we found our home. We really liked that it is a community rich in agriculture history and tradition. It was clear to us that the leadership of the city understood the importance of agriculture, very important today, food security, and the challenges faced by food producers nationwide. The minute we all met, it was clear to us and our organization that Newberry was a place where we would invest first. So thank you, gentlemen, for that opportunity. Another big decision driver for us to invest $132 million in Newberry was Newberry's F300 Ag Tech Park, made possible by collaboration between the City of Newberry and UF IFAS. So Dr. Engel, kudos for that collaboration. We understood immediately that we needed to be a part of this great collaboration, and that is why we decided to establish our first 2 high-tech farms in Newberry's F300 Ag Tech Park. Today, we're proud to be the first industrial ag tech company to call F300 and Newberry our home. So very glad for that. And in fact, we are making our headquarters there. I would like to thank Governor DeSantis and his team for seeing the same things in Newberry that we saw. We share the governor's enthusiasm for what we can all do together, and I can't wait to get it all started. This was really an unexpected surprise, one which gives me confidence that we made the right choice, and today we are happy to be part of the Team Berry. Thank you very much.
All right, well, I'm excited about these awards. I think they're going to go a long way, and we're happy to support the community. I mean, I know it was great to be here last year in Citrus with $2.8 million, and then now you've got even more in the kitty. So use it well, and hopefully we're not looking at any storm damage in the years ahead. So anyone have any questions back there? Yes.
Governor, can you tell us just about the president asking about moving the oil drilling off the Florida coast and trying to be close to the coast? Just your reaction.
Well, we supported the 2020 decision that the Trump administration made at the time. We worked very closely with them. I thought it was very thoughtful policy in 2020. Now what the Interior Department is proposing to do is really to go back off that policy, and I think that would weaken protections that we worked very hard to establish offshore. And yes, part of it's environmental, but part of it's military training. If you go talk to our folks up in the Panhandle who are stationed there, they will say it's really important to be able to have that access to be able to do key training. So we hope that that they double down on the 2020 policy and not push ahead with what Interior wants to do now.
Governor, have you heard of the Anna Kepner case? If you have, your thoughts. I know FBI is the lead on the investigation, but is there anything the state can do? Are they helping the FBI or just...
So we do, when we're asked to help, our guys do. I don't know whether our state agencies have been asked to help in this case. If they are, then they will. Okay, thanks everybody. God bless. All right. Congratulations. Yep. Good job.